Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. This video is not going to be about makeup or skincare or hair care. It's actually going to be a wedding related video. I'm sure if you've been watching my videos, you have noticed that I cannot shut up about the fact that I'm engaged to a fantastic man named James. We've been together for 7.5 years, and he proposed to me when we were visiting family in Italy. He proposed on top of a mountain. It was fabulous. I won't have a ton of wedding content. We already have like the venue picked out and pretty much most of the details set in place. But I did have a very educational experience shopping for wedding dresses, and I kind of wanted to make this a video that's fun to watch but also informational as well, especially if you yourself are looking for wedding dresses. So I went shopping 2 separate times. I went with just my mom and my sister-in-law, who's my matron of honor. The first time we went to a boutique, and the second time we went to David's Bridal, which is kind of like a big box store. In this video I wanted to tell you about the differences in the try-on experience, the staff, the prices, the selection, and also just show you me trying on a bunch of wedding dresses, which was really fun. I will not be showing you my actual wedding dress that I'm wearing the day of, but trust me, I will be posting pictures. You will see my wedding day whenever that happens. I will freely post pictures. I also want to thank my sister-in-law and my matron of honor, Jamie. She took all these photos for me. It was really nice to have someone there just making sure that they got photos of different angles of the dresses. That was very helpful. And before we look at the photos, I did want to mention what I was looking for in a dress, just because that's going to be vastly different for everyone. I knew that I wanted an element of lace. I felt like that added a more traditional sense to it. And obviously when I say traditional, I just mean for myself. What you consider to be traditional wedding stuff is going to be very different from mine, especially if you're from different parts of the world or even from different parts of the country. So please know that I'm not assuming that this is like the way for brides to dress. That's not the case at all. I'm just talking about what I wanted. I knew I wanted some lace. I was definitely open to the idea of adding like a blush element, like maybe a layer of blush tulle under the skirt or something. I wasn't too adamant about it being 100% white or ivory. And I also knew that I wanted a sleeve, like some type of sleeve element, preferably long sleeves. I think the reason why I was so attracted to the idea of a long sleeve was because I think it adds a really elegant element to it. I think especially for my body type, I think that would look really nice, but also I think I'm just very influenced by what my mom looked like on her wedding day. I look back on those photos, and even though they're from the 80s, they just look so timeless. Obviously I'm biased, it's my own mother. If she lets me, I will put up a photo of what she looked like. She had a shorter sleeve that was kind of like fluttery over her shoulder, and then she wore these long gloves that went up to pretty much her sleeve, and it just created like this really elegant look. I thought it looked so beautiful, and I figured I could try to recreate something like that. I wasn't crazy about mermaid style. I wasn't crazy about something that would be like super tight all the way down. I wanted something that I could move in. I come from a really big family. The reception is going to be a lot of dancing, a lot of laughing, a lot of picking kids up, a lot of, running around. I know I need something that's going to be comfortable, nothing too heavy. And if I was going to get something with the train, I wanted it to be something that could be bustled so that I wasn't worried about my train for the entire day. So let's talk about the boutique first. I went to a place called Carlisle's. It's off McKnight Road in Pittsburgh. My mom and my sister-in-law, we were at like a wedding expo, and it ended up ending early, or we looked at everything we wanted to look at and we still had a couple hours to kill. So we called Carlisle's to see if they would let us come in for a dress try-on. They said sure. What was really cool about the boutique setting was it was a little bit more relaxed compared to David's Bridal. I went in, I filled in a paper of like what the venue was going to be, what time of the year I was going to get married, and just a couple like extra details like that, just so they would be able to recommend things depending on the time of year or what the setting of the wedding is going to be. There were 2 women that were there, and they were very kind. There was only one other party there, but they left pretty early on, so we pretty much had the whole store to ourselves. And my mom and my sister-in-law, we were all so excited. It was our first time doing this together, and so they asked if they could pick out some dresses for me to try on, just to play around, since we didn't really have anything specific in mind. And they had free reign to do so. They went through the racks, they picked out what they wanted me to try on. I did the same thing, and then when I told the lady at the store what I was looking for, she picked out a couple for me as well. So we got to try on a lot of different dresses, which is really great for your first time, at least for me. So the first dress, they listened to the idea that I wanted the element of lace, and I also wanted a long sleeve. From the back, this looks really, really gorgeous, but I think from the front, it didn't really have a lot of structure to it, and with the way my body type is, I kind of wanted something with a little bit more structure. I did love the open, like, boat neck detail. I thought that was really pretty, and I love the detail in the back, but I think the way that the neckline was and the arms were, it was a little bit hard for me to have like free range of motion, and the big thing is I wanted to feel comfortable. I didn't want to feel stifled in my dress. This one I didn't pick out myself. I think maybe the lady at the store picked this out because she knew where my venue was going to be. It is somewhere in Pittsburgh, and I think she wanted to kind of give me a couple options for dresses that would fit really well with the setting of the venue. And so she picked this one out. I didn't like the short sleeves, and once again, I didn't find that had a lot of structure. I did like the back detail. I thought that was really pretty, but I don't know. I wasn't crazy about an open back. The next one, I can't remember who picked this out. I like that it had both a v-neck in the front and in the back, and I did like the lace element too, but it just seemed a little too casual. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't what I wanted, so I tried something else on. The next one, the lady told me that this was very much a dress that would go really well with the venue. It has a little bit more of like a vintage look. It has the really gorgeous fluttery sleeve, very similar to the dress that my mom wore for her wedding. It had like a slight mermaid or A-line cut at the bottom. I don't know my words, you guys know what I mean. But it had gorgeous beading on it. Oh my goodness, up close, this was so beautiful. It did feel a bit heavy though. I think because of all the beading, it felt a bit heavy, and so that kind of deterred me from wanting to choose a dress like this, but I really liked it. I liked the silhouette a lot more, and I feel like it just went with my body a little bit better. The next one, I liked it because it had long sleeves, and I'm glad that they listened to me and they kind of went all in with the lace. I also loved the large amount of tulle that made it kind of like puffy at the end, but then I had a layer of lace over it. I thought that looked really pretty, very like ethereal, and I did like the back detail as well, but I didn't love, if you can see, there's like clear fabric, and that was on the front too, and I just didn't like that at all. I didn't feel like that would look nice up close, and once again, it just made me feel really closed in, and the lace just kind of, I don't know, it didn't feel right. I knew I said I wanted lace, but whenever I actually had it on my arms, I didn't love it as much. This dress had a very similar feel to 2 dresses ago with all the beading. I did love the beading elements, and that really opened me up to trying more dresses with beading in the future. And I did love the long sleeves. After trying on so many poofier dresses that had more volume, I felt like this one was a little bit too flat for me. I decided that I did want something with a little bit more of a poof. It didn't have to be too poofy, but I wanted to have like something with a little bit more volume, just to make a little bit more of a statement. And as gorgeous as this one was, I just didn't really love the open back element. But this one felt like very vintage to me. It felt like very kind of old Hollywood, I guess, and I did enjoy trying it on. The second to last one, I don't remember who picked it out. It might have been my sister-in-law, I'm not sure, but we were going for kind of like a 70s feel. I don't know what happened or how this happened, but it had these really, really poofy sleeves. It had like a cut in the middle to show like some inner side boob. And from the back, I think this looked really nice, and I did love the long sleeve element. I thought that was really cool. Obviously, some of these, they're not gonna look perfect because they're not perfectly fitted to my body. This one I felt like was a little bit too 70s for me, and I also didn't love the stomach area. Just something about the way that fabric clung to me. I didn't feel like that was the most flattering. And so even though there were a lot of elements of this dress that I liked, once again, I wanted more volume, and I just didn't really like that type of fabric. The very last one, this was my favorite from this entire boutique, and it had a lot of elements that I really loved. I loved having the tulle underneath with the lace on top. It did have some beading. I'm not sure if you're gonna see that. It had an open neck. It had long sleeves with gorgeous lace like coming up my wrists, and it also had enough structure in the middle to create more of like an hourglass figure. This dress really spoke to me, and there was a small window of time where I was considering getting this dress. Something you might notice when you go wedding dress shopping is that things seem to happen very quickly. People try to rush things along. I'm not saying that the people are trying to rush a sale. Some might be, but not all of them are like that. They understand that this is a special time and they're not going to try to like force you to buy a dress that you don't want. But they could see that I was really responding to this dress. It had a lot of elements that I really liked, and I did feel special when I wore this dress. I decided to think on it some more, and if I hadn't have found the dress that I ended up getting, this probably still would be like a contender or something that I would go back and try on again. It ended up being just slightly out of my price range, just a little bit more than I felt comfortable spending on a wedding dress. And because it was only my first time trying on dresses, I ended up going home and not buying it. Now for David's Bridal, that one we went to a week later, the following Saturday, and we made an appointment. And one thing I would like to point out about David's Bridal is if you call and make an appointment, they will call you multiple times to confirm. They'll have you fill out an online questionnaire. They'll ask you to confirm via email, and they will also send you texts confirming your appointment. I think I was reached out to at least 6 times just for an appointment that I was making that was only 1 week away. It was slightly annoying. David's Bridal, you can take it down a notch. Whenever you make an appointment, they give you an hour and a half of time. At least that's what the David's Bridal for me was. I went to the one in Robinson, PA, and I tried on 6 dresses. I did have a little bit better of an idea of what I wanted, so we went in with a little bit more purpose, and I could kind of tell what elements I wanted a lot better, and so that made it a lot easier. I wasn't just trying on any dress under the sun. Another thing is I actually took some screenshots of dresses from the website that I wanted to try on, and so the people who worked there actually pulled all of those dresses so I could try them on right away, which I thought that was really nice. Being able to look at stuff online, actually on models, kind of gives you a better idea of what the dress is going to look like versus on the hanger. One thing they don't allow is they don't allow for people to pull dresses, which is completely understandable. It's a really big store, and if you have everyone coming in just pulling dresses out to be trying on, it's really difficult to put them all back. So I understand why they have that rule, but that's just something to keep in mind if you want to be able to go into a store and just look through racks and pick stuff out yourself. That isn't really much of a possibility at bigger stores. Another thing to keep in mind is when you go in for an appointment, they do ask what your cup size is and what your size is, and they actually give you a kind of like a bustier to wear while you're trying on dresses, so you can get a better idea of what the dress looks like whenever you are wearing like actual appropriate undergarments. At the boutique, I didn't know what the proper like underwire and equipment was to wear, and they didn't provide any, and so everything I wore, I just didn't have a bra on. So the first dress I tried on, I liked. It had the long sleeve, it had the lace, it had the coming in at the center, it was a little bit poofy. I just like didn't love this. I put it on and I was like, it's nice, but it's not me. I think maybe if I were taller, I would like it better, but this one was just okay. The second one was the same. I think it just had too much lace for me, and also it didn't really have any volume on the bottom. It was kind of just straight, which I wanted something that would kind of come out a little bit at the bottom. So this one was also nixed. The back of this was really gorgeous. That had a really unique and interesting train, so that was really cool. The next one, I did not like how this fit me at all. This one, I didn't like how straight the thing was. I just felt like that was not a great cut for me. If I'm gonna have something more open, I kind of want it to be more like a boat neck, so it's a little bit curved. I think on my body type, sharp lines like that aren't very flattering. I think wearing stuff that's a little bit more rounded, a little bit softer, is much more flattering for me. I also felt like this one made my torso look even shorter than it is, which I do have a short torso, but this like really brought that out. I did love the train. I thought the train was really pretty, and I did like the look of it from the back. I think it looked nice with the lace sleeves. But this one I just wasn't crazy about. The next one was kind of like a princess style dress. I loved how it got bigger at the bottom, and I loved the sleeves, and I also loved the way it looked from the back, but the train kind of seemed very plain, like too plain for what I was looking for after trying so many lacy and beaded dresses. This was a really pretty dress, but it just didn't feel like me, so I ended up not liking it, but I did really like the sleeves. They were kind of like 3/4, so they stopped just above my wrist. I thought that was a nice element. The next one, I don't really even have anything to say about it. It just looked so similar to a lot of the dresses that I had already tried on. I liked the long sleeve, I liked the way it came in at the middle, but once again, the train and the bottom of the dress kind of just seemed too plain, and I don't know, I just didn't really feel like this was the dress when I tried it on, and maybe I was just getting a little bit tired by the end of this time. And the very last one, this is actually a dress that James picked out. I told him to go on the David's Bridal website and find a dress that he would like me to try on, and I would just try it on for fun, thinking it'd be really funny if I ended up choosing the dress that he chose. So if you could see, it obviously looks nothing like the other dresses that I tried on. It did have the lace element and it did have an interesting sleeve. I don't think I told him specifically what I was looking for. This was pretty, but once again, it's one of those dresses that doesn't have any structure to it, which I don't think is very flattering for me. So even though it was fun, we all had a good laugh at how different this was to the other dresses that I tried on. Obviously, this was not the one. I'm not showing it here, but I did end up buying my wedding dress at David's Bridal, and I did end up buying it that day. I found one that I absolutely fell in love with. It's not very similar to a lot of the dresses that I'm showing you, and I just wanted to talk about the purchasing experience at David's Bridal. Once again, I don't know if it was just the person that I was with or if this is how it is, but after I kind of made it known that this was the dress that I wanted, things just went really fast. Things just kind of like happened, and before I knew it, the dress was bought and we were out of the store, and I was like, what just happened? I purchased the dress in November, and I think that it actually came in the mail, like arrived to the store, I think in March. And while I did feel like things were a little bit rushed towards the end to make that sale, they did also go out of their way to make it known that this was going to be very easy to return. I think I had up until like 14 days before my wedding date to return it and get a full refund. So even though I felt like it was a bit rushed, it also was made very known that I could return it easily. So that was nice. I feel like the lady at the boutique was a lot more personable. She was a lot more in-depth because I was the only person in the store versus being one of like 6 brides at David's Bridal. I felt like it was a lot calmer of an environment. I wasn't looking at other brides trying on stuff. I wasn't, surrounded by a lot of people or people being loud. It was very quiet and relaxed at the boutique, and the person who was focusing on me was asking a lot of really in-depth questions. She knew it was my first time trying stuff on. I really feel like she went out of her way to make it feel special. She talked to me about, who was going to be paying for the dress, letting me know that I could be honest with her. Even if I didn't want to say something to my mom or my sister-in-law, I could say it to her and she would help me out. I'm sure for a lot of people, when you go try on dresses, especially if you take a lot of people, sometimes other people's opinions can kind of get to you, and people might not say exactly the nicest things. And even when you express how much you love a dress, some people might think it's okay to be like, well, I don't like it. Luckily, I didn't have that problem, but I did only bring two people that know I'm very honest and that I'm not going to be swayed by their opinion. They both know that I'm a bit hard-headed and stubborn. And I mean, I could tell pretty easily if they liked something versus if they didn't. But at the end of the day, I'm the one wearing the dress and I'm gonna pick what I want. So the try-on experience was very different. I would say the boutique one was more calm. I felt like it was more personalized versus David's Bridal. It was kind of a bit more like, okay, let's get the show on the road type of situation. Once again, that could just be my personal experiences. I'm not saying every David's Bridal is going to be like that. Every boutique is going to be like that. Prices, David's Bridal, obviously they have a bigger range of different prices, but they also have a lot of really affordable dresses. I ended up getting my dream dress right within the price range that I had, versus at the boutique, the majority of the dresses were either out of my price range or the lower end ones started right where my price range capped. So it was just a little bit more of an expensive experience at the boutique. The selection obviously at David's Bridal was much larger versus the boutique. Just the sizes of the store alone didn't allow for the boutique to have the type of amount of dresses that a big chain store would have. And you also can't deny how convenient and how much easier it is to shop at a store that has their inventory online. I could go through at my own pace and I could pick out all the ones that I wanted. If I wanted something that was in a certain color category or a certain length, or it had a certain type of sleeve, or it had like lace or some type of specific fabric, I could filter for that and have all the things that they offer on the website like already on models that I could see. And then I could screenshot and save the ones that I wanted, and they could pick them out for me so I could try them on as soon as I'm in the store. That was really nice. It made me feel like I was very thorough in how many dresses I saw, but also having that initial experience where I went in and tried on a bunch of different dresses, even ones that were kind of outside of my comfort zone, just to see what would look nice, just to get a better idea of what would be most flattering to my body type. That was also very informative and very helpful for me. If I were to give you any advice, I think the fewer people you bring with you, the better. This is a big decision that you're making, and if you have too many people giving you their opinions, it can be very difficult difficult to really be in the moment and enjoy it, especially if you have a lot of really opinionated people. I did go to a dress try-on a couple years ago for one of my friends, and she brought her entire wedding party, including her mom and like her aunt and like a bunch of other people too. And the second she would walk out, everyone just would start talking over each other, and it was never really about her. It was never about what she thought. It was like what everyone else thought before her opinion was even known. And I just don't feel like that makes it very special. So even though you want to make people feel like they're a part of this special moment, sometimes just bringing one or two people or even no people, in my opinion, is better. But of course, if you're more extroverted than me and you want to have a bunch of people involved and you want to have a lot of people talking over each other and make it more of like a community thing, more of a group activity, that's totally fine. You got to do what's best for you. But in my personal experience, only having 2 people was perfect. So before I end the video, I do want to ask you to tell me, which of the dresses did you like better? Overall, did you like the boutique or did you like the David's bridal dresses? If you have any interesting stories or tips to give about your own wedding dress experience, please let me know in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't really have any other wedding content planned, but if you have any ideas in particular, please let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.